Today in your business, we continue our three-part series on the character of leadership. Now, yesterday we talked about the origins of the character model and its elements. We had a day before with that as well. Phil Eastman with Leadership Advisors Group here to talk more about all of this. So I thought we'd just get a recap since we're on day 3.
Absolutely.
Let's go through that with our viewers right now.
Yeah, we've got a little mini series going here. So we talked about the importance of leadership, right? That every organization rises and falls on its leadership. But then we also made the case, hopefully, that the core of leadership is an individual's character. And then we talked about what those 7 elements were yesterday and where those came from. Now I thought it would be important to get practical, right? So we've been a little bit conceptual for people. But if we went back to our character model and we picked out that central theme of faith, the belief system of an individual, the capacity of an individual to unwaveringly believe in something they can't rationally prove. So what does that look like from a leadership perspective? What are the actions?
How do they practice this every day?
Well, the very first bit will be for a leader to clearly articulate what their core values are. Those are decisions that leaders need to make, especially in relationship to the context of the organization.
So you're basically saying to articulate, it means communicate.
Absolutely. Write them down and then share them repeatedly, right? Values are something that are taught and caught. In other words, they need to be thought of as a deliberate action over time. You can't just say them once. It's not an event. It's a process to develop core values.
I was just going to say that this is not one hit wonder, is it?
No, it's not. And then, of course, the next step, right, is to actually demonstrate those core values in the way you lead the organization. So what will that look like? What were the behaviors? What's my tone of voice? How do I approach people? All those kinds of things become realities of the character that we develop.
Since we want to be practical today and really give them some useful tools out there, do you have any example of that you could give us of how a leader would do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So every leader's wired individually, right? And they have a particular personality or style that they want to communicate with. Now, when they're willing to modify that style so that other people can receive the message, that's a demonstration of core values, a concern for individuals, and learning to speak in the language that people want to hear rather than the language that comes naturally for me. So that kind of behavior would tell people that you have articulated a core belief around appreciating individuals, and now you're ready to demonstrate that by learning my language. And I don't mean that in literal language, but the language that people listen in.
Boy, I'm listening to you and thinking that is a leader who's really willing to grow.
That's correct.
And change.
That's correct. Because leadership, right, is the lever that positions every organization for success. It's also the lid on an organization's success. So if leaders aren't willing to grow, then the organization will be stifled.
This has been a 3-part series. We hope you've really enjoyed it. Phil has so much more to offer. Do we have your book up that we had yesterday? I don't know if we can put the graphic up right here, but I want you to talk about, there it is, the character of leadership, everything we've been talking about here, and we've been so interested in it here on the News at Noon that we asked Phil back for a 3-part series on this. As we put this up, what would be your final word that you'd like to leave the viewers with, at least as far as this segment that we've had for character of leadership?
So 2 things. First of all, the challenges we face, both in organizations and in society, are not economic, environmental, social, or legal. They're issues or challenges of character and leadership. And character is the fuel for great leadership. So if you want to have great leadership, have great character.
And you know what I'm hearing on the bottom line of all this? It's people working with people.
It's
working
always
with people.
No matter the business you're in the people business.
All right, Phil Eastman with us. That's It's Your Business. We'll be back.